Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plastic surgeries. But
yeah, she was going under.
Yeah.
She just sees these big black arms coming over her face. Big Mike.
Michelle Obama is literally going down for the third time into this pool of self-involvement, and you don't think she's going to come up again. Like, she's dying of affluence, privilege, and self-obsession, obviously.
Everything she says is negative.
Behind the stage smiles and relentless media adoration, Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson tear into the carefully manufactured image surrounding Michelle Obama. They torch the double standards, the thinly veiled elitism, and the inflated narratives that dress up fortune cookie platitudes as groundbreaking wisdom. From high-profile initiatives that fizzled to billionaire getaways masquerading as modest retreats, they strip the brand down piece by piece. What emerges isn't an untouchable icon, it's a polished product, one that crumbles the instant the spotlight stops holding it together.
Michelle Obama, we're sad to tell you, has menopause. It's not clear where she caught it. Maybe there was an outbreak in Edgartown, but it's bad.
You have this slow creep.
You have this slow creep. And no, she's not talking about Joe Biden here, who is technically one of the slowest creeps in America. She's talking about her own thighs. Now, why is Michelle Obama telling you about her menopausal thighs on a TV show? Possibly because she's a crazed narcissist who thinks her own thighs are interesting to you.
For years, Michelle Obama has been marketed as America's flawless queen of inspiration, a brand polished to perfection. But when Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson tear into her, it feels like peeling the shiny wrapping off a product that never really worked as advertised. Rogan batters her with blunt force sarcasm, while Tucker carves through the media hype with surgical precision. Together, they turn the Obama brand into the political equivalent of a faded motivational poster left out in the rain, still recognizable but soggy, warped, and far less impressive up close.
Watching clips from her podcast over the past couple of weeks. Everything she says is negative. I mean, you would never know you are hearing from a woman who is first lady for 8 years, has become probably a billionaire by this point, is out on David Geffen's yacht every other summer, her estate in Martha's Vineyard, her daughters who went to these Tony schools. You would think you were listening to somebody basically like the wife of a George Floyd. And she's never gotten over whatever grievance she had growing up. I love how the soundbite begins. Okay, it's not the fear for myself. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama. Unbelievable, right? Who talks about themselves that way?
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. The entire Michelle Obama mystique has always depended on the media treating her as if she were untouchable. A modern-day Mona Lisa smiling benevolently down at a grateful nation. But Rogan's roast slices through that facade instantly. He skewers how nearly every one of Michelle's public appearances comes packaged as a lecture masquerading as empowerment, like she's the country's permanent substitute teacher who simply won't leave. She delivers motivational cliches about hard work and perseverance as if she personally discovered them, conveniently overlooking that her career rocketed forward thanks to marrying a man already destined for the White House. Tucker Carlson jumps in to demolish the self-made myth, pointing out that Michelle's rise wasn't a story of grit and grind, but of political royalty carefully grooming itself for primetime dominance.
Whoever did Madonna's face was working on Joan Rivers first and perfecting the craft.
The face killer.
He got it. He'll get you. Go to see if you can find Joan Rivers saying Michelle Obama's a man. The video.
No, I don't, my darling. Just hold it, mister. I was given a boarding pass with the wrong name on it. I went through 5 different security passes, and then a woman at the gate who will not look at my passport, who will not call Continental, who will not call for help, who will not recheck into their records, says to me, you cannot go on? No. She is a moron.
What? That had nothing to do with that, Jamie.
Look what the title says.
I know,
It's on CNN's.
but that's not it. If you
What
go
is
to
happening?
it, that's the wrong video. It's absolutely the wrong video.
Why would they
But
label
hold
it?
on, Jamie. There's a video of her and she's walking into her apartment building.
Right here. I just was playing the one that.
That's it. This is the one.
Or the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay, we all know it. So what year was that, Jamie, that she said that?
I have no idea.
The obsession with Michelle Obama's fitness campaigns handed Tucker Carlson an entire arsenal of material. He tore apart her infamous school lunch crusade, the one that left American kids staring down trays of limp lettuce, flavorless fruit cups, and cardboard-textured mystery patties. The initiative was supposed to spark a revolution in healthy eating, but instead it sparked endless memes about cafeteria starvation. Rogan cracked up at how Michelle strutted around promoting kale as if she'd personally solved childhood obesity, while kids quietly swapped her superfood salads for greasy pizza slices behind the cafeteria doors. Tucker twisted the knife even deeper, pointing out how elite praise for her program was completely disconnected from everyday reality. Another perfect example of Washington insiders convinced they know best, while actual kids gagged on their carefully balanced, utterly joyless meals.
Because this is the safest country for everybody, no matter what your color is, or it was in any case. So like that's just so old-fashioned. I mean, it's really like you expect her to say, "Let me fax you my thoughts on this," because it's just like she's so out of it. The second thing is that like we always beat up on rich white ladies because they're the most disruptive force in America, but that's unfair. It's not about color. There's something about the people with the most in our country that's really poisonous. They're the unhappiest, or the most restless. They're the most self-involved.
Michelle Obama's carefully cultivated reputation as a fashion icon didn't escape scrutiny either. Rogan mocked the way media outlets gush over her every outfit, treating a basic dress like it's Paris Fashion Week couture, rather than attire for yet another lecture on school reforms. He shredded the endless Vogue covers and carefully staged photo shoots, saying the whole thing reeked of PR overcompensation for someone who, frankly, just isn't that compelling. Tucker piled on by skewering the obsession with Michelle's style, calling it a shallow distraction designed to cover up a glaring lack of real substance. After all, if the clothes are the headline every time, it usually means the message underneath isn't strong or interesting enough to stand on its own.
Joe Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you're worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
But nothing makes Rogan laugh harder than the whispers about Michelle Obama running for president. He roasted the absurdity of liberals fantasizing about another Obama presidency, like America's supposed to sit through an unwanted sequel nobody asked for. Rogan pointed out that Michelle has 0 governing experience, 0 real political achievements, and yet somehow gets hyped as the savior of democracy. Tucker, of course, went even deeper, calling the push for Michelle proof of just how hollow the Democratic bench really is. When your big plan for the future is recycling someone's spouse, you're not running a party, you're running a nostalgia act. Her endless memoirs and speaking tours became another punching bag. Rogan mocked the irony of someone who constantly lectures about humility while raking in millions from book deals and arena events. He compared her memoirs to glorified self-help pamphlets dressed up as high literature, pages of recycled life advice glowing in the haze of Obama mythology. Tucker finished it off by roasting how every one of these books magically becomes an instant bestseller. Not because the country is desperate for her wisdom, but because the media and political class shove the idea down everyone's throat that she's a cultural giant. In reality, it's not genuine inspiration, it's mandatory worship.
I will not run for president.
Yeah, I've heard you say I think Michelle should run.
She could win. She could win, I think. I think if she ran, she could win.
Do you ever run for office?
No.
I have to ask it.
No.
No kind of office.
No.
I don't think she wants that, though.
No,
I don't think she wants that in her life. The bull that they dealt with over the 8 years when he was president.
Because I've got these 2 young people at home. Being the kids, the daughters of a president, just think about it. Not so easy.
That job for anybody that really good at it.
Yeah, I trust the person who doesn't want the job more than the person who wants the job.
It's not something that I'm interested in or would ever do, ever.
The role model narrative is another fragile house of cards Tucker loves to topple. Michelle Obama is constantly packaged as the ultimate symbol for young women, yet her speeches always collapse into carefully rehearsed platitudes and manufactured emotion. Rogan tore apart how she's sold as some fearless trailblazer when, in truth, she played the safest game imaginable. Standing comfortably in the shadow of one of the most media-protected presidents in modern history, smiling on cue for the cameras. Tucker twisted the knife further, calling Michelle's public image a calculated performance polished to perfection, crafted to disguise just how little substance lies beneath. Rogan especially relished mocking her habit of lecturing ordinary Americans while living like absolute royalty. He ridiculed her relatable persona that falls apart the moment she boards a private jet or vacations on billionaire estates. Nothing screams authenticity quite like telling people to sacrifice while sipping vintage champagne on Martha's Vineyard. Tucker drove the point home by roasting how the press never calls out this hypocrisy because the Obamas are treated as America's untouchable dynasty, shielded from meaningful criticism no matter how blatantly elitist their lifestyle becomes.
And it's obvious and always has been. And I do think maybe so you look at something like that and you're like, okay, what are the lessons for me? You know, you look at other people's lives and they either go up or down, they succeed or they fail, and you try to take important lessons for yourself in your own life. And one of the lessons that I've always thought Michelle Obama's life presented to the rest of us is take some time to focus on your marriage. If you're happy in your marriage, you know, you can feel it, you can smell it. You know, you're emanating a kind of peace, a tranquility. You know, you're going home to a spiritual force.
Even Michelle's carefully polished image as America's mom couldn't survive unscathed. Rogan mocked the condescending tone she adopts, as if the nation needs a collective parent scolding everyone for not measuring up. It's a brand of politics that swaps meaningful policy for shallow life lessons, reducing serious issues to syrupy pep talks. Tucker dismantled that act further by exposing just how infantilizing it really is. The notion that grown citizens need Michelle Obama to guide them like school children waiting for permission to eat their vegetables. Her obsession with fitness became another easy roast. Rogan laughed at how Michelle built an entire public legacy around jumping jacks and push-ups, as though leading a few aerobic sessions somehow qualified as statesmanship. Tucker zeroed in on the glaring double standard. Michelle is showered with glowing praise for a couple of staged fitness events, while other political spouses get mocked for doing far less. It's all part of the inflated myth-making machine. A few photo ops magically transformed into a manufactured legacy. Naturally, those endless glamour shots of Michelle flexing her arms became prime roast material too.
Help me out on this.
J-Mo.
We have to have done Big Mike before.
I don't think we did.
I don't
Big
know
Mike.
if we did. Tim Dillon definitely did.
We did Big Mike with Tim.
Did Tim Dillon's video, did that get removed from Twitter?
What do you mean? Which one?
Someone put on Instagram, I believe, that Tim Dillon's video where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her cock out and China would just give up. I was fucking wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Rogan cracked jokes about how the media practically worshipped her biceps, as if they were towering monuments of American democracy. Tucker reminded everyone how absurd it looked when journalists fawned over her toned arms, pretending that defined muscles somehow translated into leadership qualities. The more the press exaggerated her image, the more laughable and hollow it appeared. The deeper point both Rogan and Tucker drove home is that Michelle Obama has become far less a figure of genuine achievement and far more a triumph of marketing. She embodies the polished machinery of the political industrial complex, where every gesture, every outfit, and every carefully chosen word is curated to perfection, then resold to the public as authenticity. Beneath that shine lies only phoniness, the staged relatability, the meticulously rehearsed speeches crafted to seem heartfelt while dripping with artifice. Tucker stripped away each polished layer to reveal the truth. Michelle isn't an icon, she's a product. And like any overhyped product, reality never matches the glossy packaging. By the end of their roast, she no longer stands as the invincible figure the media insists she is. Instead, she's exposed as the deliberately manufactured brand she's always been, propped up by nostalgia, sustained through tireless PR, and shielded from scrutiny by a press far too invested in her myth to ever admit the obvious.
This is the accusation. They're throwing around the word treason.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016.
They're saying that Obama knew that Russia did not meddle in the election, did not have any impact in the election.
We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American.
Tucker's razor-sharp analysis sliced straight through the glossy facade, leaving only the uncomfortable truth behind. Without the Obama name and the protective glow of relentless media adoration, Michelle Obama is simply another political celebrity with nothing fresh to offer. And that's why this roast stings so deeply. It isn't just about Michelle Obama herself, it's about the entire culture of media worship that inflated her into something larger than life. Rogan and Tucker don't merely tear down her image, they rip apart the machinery that manufactured it. The myth collapses, the polish wears thin, and what remains is a political figure who was always more brand than substance. Rogan repeatedly emphasized the irony of Michelle's carefully marketed persona as a great unifier, while every speech she gives carries a subtle undercurrent of division. He ridiculed how she cloaks sharp criticism in the language of hope, dressing down half the country with a practiced smile. Tucker hammered the same point, noting that Michelle's rhetoric is a masterclass in passive-aggressive politics, scolding Americans in one breath while demanding applause in the very next.
In a normal life, your marriage is the core of everything. A happy marriage produces happy people and happy children. And I just don't think she spent a lot of time on that. I mean, she really dislikes her husband. Super obvious. I'm not just saying that to be catty. I think I'm trying to feel compassion for her, but her hostility toward the guy is like unbelievable. And it's been
everything
obvious
she says is negative
about him.
How
for sure,
long have we known each other?
2007.
I can't even think of one negative comment you've ever made about Susie. I almost never say negative things about Doug.
The cult of Michelle thrives on this contradiction. Rogan mocked how people swoon when she delivers generic motivational lines, the kind you could pull from a fortune cookie, yet react as if Socrates himself had returned to Earth. He laughed at the absurdity of treating her TED Talk cliches like groundbreaking revelations. Tucker piled on, adding that the only reason her speeches feel historic is because the media declares them so before she even steps on stage. It's not authentic inspiration, it's carefully manufactured awe. Then there's the glaring absurdity of the Obama family fortune. Rogan tore into Michelle's habit of lecturing about inequality while pocketing millions from Netflix deals, book contracts, and speaking fees that eclipse what most Americans earn in a lifetime. He ridiculed the charade of her being relatable, pointing out that the only thing she relates to these days is choosing which mansion to vacation in. Tucker cut even deeper, highlighting how the Obamas built a post-White House empire while still posing as plucky outsiders, fighting for the common person. The hypocrisy is so obvious it practically writes its own punchlines.
Good to see everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's...
Even Michelle's supposed cultural clout became fair game. Rogan laughed at how Hollywood celebrities trip over themselves to call her an icon, as if praising Michelle were an unofficial entry requirement for staying employed in the industry. He roasted the absurdity of treating her playlist recommendations or wardrobe choices like matters of national importance, mocking how journalists breathlessly cover every trivial detail as if it's breaking news. Tucker, meanwhile, skewered the desperation of a political movement clinging to Michelle as a cultural figurehead, knowing that without her glow, the entire brand loses its shine. The Michelle 2028 narrative has become another running gag. Rogan joked that the idea of her suddenly caring about policy is about as believable as her signing up for the UFC. The exaggeration is so over the top, it collapses under its own weight. What Rogan and Tucker expose is that Michelle Obama's legacy isn't grounded in achievements, but in relentless image management. Every inch of her public persona has been polished, packaged, and sold as greatness. But when the gloss is stripped away, the uncomfortable truth remains. Michelle Obama is less a leader than a carefully curated celebrity, thriving in a system that prizes symbolism over substance.